Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of the Dorm Next Door podcast. Now, with this one, I'm just going to get right into it. You are being tracked at church. It's been in the news over the last week or two, but it's starting to surface that through an Israeli geofencing campaign, registered under FARA, so these government documents are available to the public, it has shown that if you are in the states of Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, and the big one, California, when you attend a megachurch or a college university, you are subject to being tracked by a foreign government. Now, this is a complicated issue, and we've done a lot of research. So often in the media, or when it comes to a story that's breaking, it'll go viral for about a day or two, and then the people that publish these stories or the people that are focused on talking about these issues have to move on to the next thing because their career demands that they move at a fast pace and catch the trend. Well, we decided that we wanted to dive in deeper to the situation and clarify some truths and to try and talk about what we know is going on from the best of our ability, what we can prove, what we can actually talk about. Because this is what I believe a very, very important issue to those specific to my community, because I, myself, live in the state of California. So, from a quick rundown, my friend Kyle, who's been with me every time I've recorded a show, has done so much research on this topic. He's done a lot of it. He's gone far deeper than I have. So, what I'm going to do in a few moments is I'm going to play a rundown of all the facts that we've gathered. And also, I'm going to let you know I'm leaving these government documents in the description of the YouTube video. So that's incentive to visit the YouTube video, and the channel is linked to my website, which is in the bio of my Instagram page if you're finding it there, or if you're seeing a clip on TikTok, which I doubt it because this is not going to be a clip on TikTok, wherever. Make sure that you make it to dormnextdoor.transistor.fm, because that is how you get to all of my different websites. That's how you get to the distribution points on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and I think my Instagram is on there as well. So make your way to there, and then you can make your way to YouTube if you're not already there, and then you can find and read these documents for yourself, because it is important that we ourselves understand and know what's going on. So without further ado, this is about a 4-minute rundown from Kyle of the full story and all of the information that we have gathered.
So I'm sure some of you have heard in the news over the last week or two, there's this startup in San Diego, California called Show Faith by Works. And what Show Faith by Works does, I'm going to pull out all my sources here just so I don't get this information wrong. Their goal is to geofence churches and colleges in California, Colorado, Arizona, and Nevada. And basically what they want to do is they want to target them for pro-Israel and anti-Palestinian state/Hamas campaigns. Show Faith by Works is registered under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, which they're directly registered as a agent of Israel. Very interesting. It also states in the FARA document that they intend to geofence churches and colleges, do search engine optimization so that pro-Israel sources always come to the top. They're planning to put together a pastoral resource package to present to churches, a weekly podcast with a paid pastor, celebrity spokespeople. Tim Tebow is on that list. John Voight's on that list. People they hope to recruit. Rick Warren is on that list. They also put together a mobile experience of the 10/7 attacks by Hamas on Israel. Very interesting, which they would take around to churches, colleges, events. I think they had concerts on that list of places that they would take it to, where you'd have a VR headset and you get to experience it firsthand. Very interesting. There's a list of over 300 churches that they plan to reach on the FARA document, which we're going to put out an Instagram post that'll have that linked. Look it up for yourself. Read the churches. If you're on the West Coast, your church might be on there. There's over 300 churches they're planning to reach, multiple colleges across multiple states. Let's get into some names here. Show Faith by Works is run by Chad Schnittger. He's a California political activist. Show Faith by Works has received over $66,000 from the Foreign Ministry of Israel. They've also received over $300,000 from a company called Havas Media. There's plans for Show Faith by Works to receive over $3 million total from Havas Media in the coming, I think, the last half of 2025. And what the byline, let's pull it up here. The byline in the FAR registration doc that mentions Havas Media says that the $3 million is for Christian outreach in the Western United States. And if you scroll down further in the FAR document, there's an actual payment plan where it lists out the $3 million specifically. And Havas Media is a very interesting company. They're a French company owned by, they were owned by the Bolloré family. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it. French people are going to know a lot better than me, but they're French. They're owned by a French billionaire family until late 2024 when they were made public. However, Vincent Bolloré's son, Yannick Bolloré, is the CEO and chairman of Havas Media to this day. The Bolloré family owns over 30% of the stock in Havas Media. So for all intents and purposes, they still own the company. The Bolloré Group is a multi-billion-dollar multinational company that owns large shares in media, labor, and energy companies around the world. Yannick Bolloré, who I just mentioned, is the chairman and CEO of Havas Media. His father, Vincent Bolloré, is a billionaire businessman and entrepreneur. He's been accused of international crimes by 5 African nations. Some of those crimes included election interference. He's also been alleged to have committed mass human rights abuses and is banned or was banned by several Swiss banks. Very interesting. Vincent Bolloré is also credibly tied to the Rothschild family. Believe it or not, he worked at one of their banks before his rise to power. Additionally, as written about in the French magazine Le Point, his grandmother was deeply connected to the Rothschild family and Israel. This brings up a very interesting question. What in the world does the French Rothschild billionaire family have to do with Christian outreach in the Western United States? That is a question y'all are going to have to answer for yourself.
So that was a lot of information, and it's a lot to swallow. But the truth is that if I was going to church regularly, I would want to know that I'm being tracked. I would want to know that a foreign government has its hand in my Sunday ritual of going to church, in my Sunday worship of my God. Now, this is totally not okay. It's not something that I'm okay with. I guarantee you, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, this is probably something that you're not okay with either. It's the fact that we are being paid. There's a company being paid called Show Faith by Works, LLC, that operates out of my city of San Diego, that is actively trying to sway public opinion of the youth through the colleges and the evangelicals. Evangelicals are the number one demographic of supporters of the state of Israel. And I'm about to play you back-to-back clips because I believe this is healthy for the context, and I think it's very important. I want you to understand the goal behind this. There's a reason why they're specifically targeting those that are in college and also those that are attending evangelical churches, Catholic churches, whatever. They're all a part of this. They're all grafted into this list. And I hope that you visit the document yourself to view all of the many, many churches that are victim to this. So what I'm about to show you is a clip of Benjamin Netanyahu explaining what the goal is, explaining the need for them to go on this campaign, to pour all this money into getting your opinion to favor their country.
So specifically with Charlie Kirk's assassination, who was a big mentor of mine, he was my first mentor in the space, evangelicals, from all my research, evangelicals are the reason that Israel has been supported in public sphere outside of just Jews. So with Charlie's assassination and with the kind of trajectory that we see with like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, I guess I'm curious about what's another game plan if we lose evangelical support for the state of Israel? What's our backup plan to be strong, like outside of the diaspora?
Christian influencers. Okay. You said we talked about the woke right, and you said I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke right, because these people, you know, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're movies, but they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States, that is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay, and you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are the social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is class
Followers.
TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. Exactly. Very good. And, you know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now. We have to fight the fight, okay? To give direction to the Jewish people and give direction to our non-Jewish friends or those who could be our Jewish our friends. Are we going to succeed with everyone? No. Will there be a strong counterpoint? Yes.
So, as you can see here, it's not like he doesn't know that he's being videoed in this moment. He actually does know. He's in kind of with his body language addressing the camera. So he himself is fully aware of what he's doing. He's fully aware that he is investing money to try and get your children, most likely, or your opinion to be swayed to support their country. Now, this geofencing campaign basically means that when you are attending your church, when you're going to your church or your college, from there, they have your location. So their intention is, through influencers that they are paying up to $7,100 per post on TikTok, through other advertisements anywhere else, they are actively going to give you to the top of your feed. I don't necessarily know if this has been implemented yet, but to the top of your feed, above anything else, they are going to be sending you pro-Israel Zionist advertisements on the regular. And over time, they are going to be pouring in about $3.2 million. The numbers changed. It's gone from as high as 4.1 to around 3. But they're going to be pouring around $3 million to sway public opinion. Now, this comes in the form of pastoring packages. This comes in the form of education kits. This comes in merchandise. All these things they are trying to come up with, and they have come up with many, many different ways to implement this strategy. Different forms of media, different forms of education, per se, to try and get you to have unwavering support for their government. Now, this is registered under FARA. This is a foreign agent that is pouring money into our country. Now, me personally, I take this as spying, though technically it's legal. So what do we need to do? Well, if you feel up to it, and I think this is important, reach out to those that are your leaders on a local level. Reach out to your politicians, call their office. We reached out to the man that is in charge of this for comment, and he did not respond. Several times, actually. We tried to email him and actually call his cell because everything has to be made public under these documents. And it's important, it's imperative that we try and get him to clarify. We tried to give him the opportunity to clarify exactly what their intentions are and what they were doing with this operation. But it's all itself, even without his comment, listed in the documents, what their goal is. Now, this man, is a local San Diego activist, and his name is Chad Schnitger. Now, he's been involved with and he's gotten in trouble for things prior to this, but let's stick to the facts. He is the man in the city of San Diego that is in charge of the LLC called Show Faith by Works. Now, if you visit this website, I've gotten 3 different results. So the first result was a website that was pretty old and run down. Now, the second time I visited this website, I visited a brand new, and it seemed like it was refurbished, and this was days after my original visit to the website. This is showfaithbyworks.com, and the website is actually listed and given. The domain is given in the FARA document that's going to be in the link of the YouTube video bio. Now, the third time I visited this website, I was locked out. So it seems like they are going through another phase of rebuilding the website. So it seems like they are pouring so much into this operation, and it's real. It's something that you can see for a fact. The first time that I was exposed to the full story was from an article from the Israel Times. It put Chad's name in there. It put the LLC's name in there. They're not trying to hide this by any means. So it's important that we know that this is going on, that we know that we are being attacked in this way. Reach out to who I believe are they going to be the most receptive. Reach out to local Republican leaders. Reach out to people in the state Senate. Reach out to the more local politicians. Reach out to maybe your congressman on a local level, though it's a lot harder for them to get something like that done in the House of Representatives. But if we can try and focus on attacking this at the state level to try and, in the 4 states which we are being affected, I think that Nevada and Arizona have the best shot at putting up a fight, which is why for the Californians, like myself, it's going to take a lot more for us to maintain our privacy. Because we have a governor in the state of California that is willing to sell us out and sign us away. He is more pro-Israel, I believe, than any other governor in the United States. So it's hard. As Californians, in order for us to do the right thing, we have had to fight him. It's because in California, you have no opposition to the Democratic Party. So with their absolute power, with a governor that acts more like a king than Trump ever will, we have to fight 10,000 times harder for every inch of ground in the state of California. This is just the way that it is. So you've seen the video, and it is, there's just always constantly a fight in this world for your opinion, specifically the youth, because the youth are usually the most activist voters. They're usually sometimes the easiest ones to be swayed, but it's not like that anymore. It's not like that anymore. People are waking up. People are smart. People are not falling for the same lies anymore. People actually love to defend American values. People love the Constitution. People love God at a rate like never before. So, us figuring out and learning about this is the first step to freedom. Now, I would like to clarify something, and this is very, very important. And that is, there is absolutely no proof that these churches have any idea what's going on. And I've heard it several times that people making videos about the subject have said that these churches have sold out to Israel. No, there's no proof of that. There's no proof that these churches have any clue what's going on. And to act like without all the facts or the evidence that they do is no good. This does not help our situation to come up with something, a half-truth. Some churches might know about this. I don't know. But I can tell you from my experience, these churches have no clue what's going on. They have no clue that their congregation is being tracked. So them finding out about this, and I'm pretty sure most of them are not going to be too fond of it, them finding out about it is actually a key to activism. It's actually a key to figuring out how we can stop this. Now, if you bring the question to the forefront when you're presented with this information, well, what do you expect us to do about it? Honestly, at this point we are right now, there's not much that we can do about this except for know about it. Recognize it. Have it change the way you think about everything. Because it's real. This is not necessarily unique. Now, Americans, we know from Edward Snowden that we've been getting tracked since at least 2001. That's kind of the earliest that we for sure waved goodbye to our freedom of privacy. Now, the NSA got caught. Now, Ed Snowden has to live in Russia. But this isn't necessarily new. It's just something that is unique in the aspect of this is a foreign government now doing it, and they don't even have to hide about it. They don't even have to hide from it. They are proud of it. They are open about their efforts to bring propaganda into our lives. They are open about it. Now, I've literally received phone calls from people asking me questions about this without me even publishing the podcast yet. They had no clue that I was publishing this podcast or was even thinking about filming it, and they're starting to ask questions too. They don't like it. I don't like it. I hope you don't like it, because these 4 states are just the start. Now, I hope and pray that you look through this document yourself, because at the very, very end, there's 83 pages in this FARA document. And at the very, very end is kind of this pitch slideshow. It's a PowerPoint explaining how they're going to, like they gave this to a board, like they presented this to a board, and it's explaining how they're going to implement this entire process, how they're going to go about whatever it is, whether it's merchandise, whether it's packages, whether it's education, whether it's social media. Be careful. Do not let them convince you that this is normal. We have accepted for far too long that things like these are normal, but it's not. I personally believe that the only way that we can fight through the political party, and the only ear that I think we can get, is with the Republican Party. And it takes a lot more fighting than it does with other issues. Now, specifically, being against Israel politically today is very, very hard to do. There's a handful of people in Congress that are not pro-Israel, and most of them aren't even good themselves. Most of them are hardcore Muslims like Ilhan Omar that are no good, and they honestly don't even have a place in our country. But then you have honest men like Thomas Massey that put up a fight. So we have to seek out and look to root out those that are bad and replace them, primary them, really elect those officials that have your values, which is why I am a Republican in the first place, but also try and figure out those that are not willing to be like politicians and not sell out our country, which is very, very hard. That's just kind of one of the things that we can do. But other than that, this is one of the biggest issues that I think we're facing today. This open attack on our privacy, this open attack on our opinion, this open attack on our favor. We got to see this, we have to recognize it, and we have to figure out some way to come together and cut it off. Because the future of the United States is who they are preying on. They're preying on people my age. They're preying on evangelicals. So we should chew on that. We should think about it. Try and track the money. Who's in favor of this? Figure out who's funding these things. All this is going to be listed in the documents and more. So please do not let this podcast be your only absorption of this topic. Look through it. Explore it yourself, because it's one of those things that this is not a conspiracy theory. This is open. The information is public. So we should look into this, recognize it, and then we will eventually have to pray and ask for God to lead us into a solution to this. So the entire goal of this podcast, I provided specific commentary because this affects me personally, but from all of Kyle's information, we need to take this and then we need to pray and ask for God to guide us how we are supposed to go about this issue. But other than that, thank you so much for listening to episode 4. It's kind of a downer of an episode, not necessarily one that I was super enthusiastic to make, because it's a serious topic, it's a serious issue. And I've been presented with only these things since I started the podcast. If that's just the way it is, I guess it's just the way it is. But I hope that you realize that this is just the battle we fight, that we face as Americans. Every generation of Americans has fought something differently. You know, we could trace this from the beginning, 1776 when they were fighting over freedom, and then today where we're fighting over foreign influence from all these different countries in our politics. So this is just our fight today. Every generation has its cross. Every generation has its problem. We gotta see that we're not unique. We've had issues like these for the entirety of human history. But I'm hoping the next episode can be a little bit more fun and exciting, a little bit more lighthearted. But this information is something that I knew that God needed me to get out. So I'm so thankful that you reached the end of this podcast. Do with this information what you feel convicted to do. But now that you know so much about this subject, you almost bear somewhat of a responsibility to think more about it, to research more into this. But I'm so thankful that now we're on the same page, now that we both understand that the situation is going on. So I'm so thankful for you listening to this episode, and I hope that you have a great rest of your week, day, month, whatever. So please share this podcast with a friend if you'd like to, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.